Long ago, in a dusty little village called Adikpo at the edge of the great forest, there lived a man called Zaki the Stubborn. The village had only 23 mud houses, one small market, and 3 palm wine taps. But everyone knew Zaki's house because it was the one with the loudest arguments coming from inside. People named him Zaki the Stubborn not because he fought with others, but because he never accepted anything easily. If the village chief said, "The rains will come next week," Zaki would scratch his head and say, "Maybe. But what if the clouds are just playing tricks on us?" If the medicine man declared, "This herb will cure your cough," Zaki would nod slowly and reply, "Yes, but first let me see if my neighbor's goat gets better after eating the same leaves." His wife, Shima, would shake her head and tell the other women, "That man can argue with his own shadow. Yesterday, he told his reflection in the water that it was standing the wrong way." Every morning, Zaki would wake up and find something to question. "Why do roosters crow at dawn?" he would ask his confused chicken. "Did anyone ask them to be our alarm clock?" The chicken would just look at him and walk away, probably thinking, "This man is talking nonsense again." But what made Zaki truly famous throughout all the neighboring villages was the day Death himself came for him. It was a very hot Tuesday afternoon. The sun was so angry that even the lizards were hiding under stones. Zaki was on his roof, trying to fix the holes that let rainwater drip onto his sleeping mat. He was sweating like a palm wine tapper and muttering, "If I build this roof properly the first time, I wouldn't be up here roasting like a yam in the fire." Suddenly, the compound became very quiet. Too quiet. Even the noisy goat stopped bleating. The chickens ran under the house. A cold wind blew, which was very strange because just a moment before, everything was hot. Then, a tall shadow entered his compound. It was Death himself, carrying his long black staff and wearing a dark robe that touched the ground. His face was hidden, but his voice was deep like thunder in the rainy season. "Zaki," Death said, his voice making the walls shake, "your time has come. Follow me now." Zaki looked down from the roof and wiped sweat from his forehead. He squinted his eyes like he was trying to see better. "And what did you say?" "My time for what? Did I have an appointment with you? Did I send word that I was ready?" Death was confused. In all his years of collecting souls, no one had ever asked him questions. People usually just fainted or started crying. "I said your time has come," Death repeated, hitting his staff on the ground. The earth shook a little. Zaki climbed down slowly, dusting his hands on his wrapper. "My friend, who told you this? Did you see me coughing blood? Am I lying on a sick mat? Do I look like someone ready to travel? No. I am here fixing my roof like a healthy man. Come back when I send for you." The villagers heard the commotion and gathered around the compound, hiding behind trees and houses. They whispered among themselves, "Is that really Death? Look at those bones. Poor Zaki, he is finished." Wait, why is Zaki arguing with Death? But some of the younger ones started giggling behind their mothers' wrappers because Zaki was treating Death like an unwanted visitor who came without permission. Death grew very impatient. His bones rattled with anger. "Foolish man. I am Death. When I call, you must follow. I have taken kings and beggars, young and old. No one refuses Death." Zaki looked him up and down like he was examining a goat in the market. You say you are Death. But you look very thin to me. How do you carry all these people you claim to take? Do you have a truck? Or maybe a wheelbarrow?" The villagers gasped. Some started praying. But others had to cover their mouths to stop from laughing. "If you will not come willingly," Death roared, "I will drag you by force." Zaki raised one eyebrow and put his hands on his hips. "Drag me? With those skinny bones? My friend, look at yourself first. You look like you haven't eaten in months. Your bones are making noise like dry leaves. How can you drag a whole man when you can't even carry yourself properly? Death looked down at himself and realized that indeed, he was quite thin. Zaki continued, besides, it is almost evening time. Even if you want to take me, you should not travel on an empty stomach. My wife Shima just finished cooking hot pounded yam and egusi soup with plenty of stockfish. The aroma is sweet, can't you smell it? How can you drag a whole man when you are hungry? At that moment, a delicious smell floated from the kitchen. Death's empty stomach made a loud rumbling sound. In all his existence, Death had never eaten food. He only knew hunger but never satisfaction. Just more food, Zaki said with a friendly smile. After you eat and rest, then we can discuss this traveling matter properly. Death hesitated. The smell of the egusi soup was making his mouth water, if he had saliva. His curiosity won over his duty. Very well, Death said, sitting down on a wooden stool. But only a little food. Then you must come with me. Shima, who had been trembling in the kitchen, served Death a mountain of hot pounded yam with egusi soup thick with vegetables and meat. She gave him the biggest calabash bowl they had. Death ate like he had never seen food before. He swallowed the pounded yam in big lumps. He drank the soup like water. His jaw made clicking sounds as he chewed. The stockfish disappeared like magic. He asked for more. Then more again. The villagers watched in amazement as Death ate enough food for 5 men. This soup is very sweet, Death said, his voice now happy instead of scary. What did you put inside? Oh, said Shima, proud of her cooking, I used palm oil, locust beans, bitter leaf, water leaf, stockfish, dried fish, and plenty of pepper. Wonderful! Death exclaimed, eating even faster. Zaki sat beside him, eating his own food slowly. You see, my friend Death, this is why I cannot come with you today. How can I live when my wife cooks like this? And I just planted new yam last month. Who will harvest it if I die now? You. Death, now very full and sleepy, babbled loudly. I don't know about farming. Exactly. Zaki said. And my goats are about to give birth. My palm wine is still fermenting. My roof is half finished. There are so many things not complete. Surely you understand. By now, night had fallen. Death's stomach was so full that he could barely move. He felt sleepy for the first time in his existence. Zaki clapped his hands. See, even you don't want to leave after good food and rest. You are yawning. So how do you expect me to leave this world when there is still sweet soup to eat and work to finish? Go home and rest. Come back later when everything is ready, Baiko. Death tried to stand up but his legs felt weak. The food was making him drowsy. He had never felt so satisfied and peaceful. I will come back, Death mumbled, walking slowly toward the forest. But next time, maybe your wife can pack small soup for the journey. From that day forward, whenever anyone in Adikpo village felt sad or worried, they would remember Zaki and start laughing. That is the man who fed Death and sent him home like a satisfied visitor. And as for Death, whenever he passed through any village after that day, he would hold his stomach and walk faster, remembering the wonderful taste of Shima's egusi soup. Sometimes, when he was very hungry during his long journeys, he would stand at the edge of Adikpo village and sniff the air hopefully, trying to catch that wonderful cooking smell again. But he was too embarrassed to visit Zaki's house again so soon. Other villages started cooking better food, hoping that if Death ever came for them, they could also send him away with a full belly. Palm wine tappers worked harder, farmers grew bigger yams, and women learned new soup recipes, all because of Zaki's story. The story spread to other kingdoms, and people would say, if Death ever comes for you, just cook him good food like Zaki the stubborn did. Make sure you have plenty of stockfish and bitter leaf. Children would act out the story, with one child pretending to be dead and another being brave Zaki. They would laugh and fall down when the dead child got too full to stand up. And Zaki, he became even more famous than before. People came from far away just to see the man who refused to die. He finished fixing his roof, and this time he did it properly, harvested his yams, which grew bigger than anyone had ever seen, and lived happily for many more years. His goats gave birth to healthy kids, his palm wine became the sweetest in the village, and Shima's cooking became legendary throughout the land. Whenever visitors came to hear the story, Zaki would serve them the same egusi soup that had saved his life, and he would end by saying, "You see, my friends, even death can be reasonable if you treat him with respect and feed him well." The secret is not to be afraid, but to be clever. And he always kept a big pot of soup ready, just in case death decided to visit again. Because, as Zaki liked to say, a wise man is always prepared for unexpected guests, even the most dangerous ones. Moral of the story: sometimes courage, wit, and a little humor, plus very good cooking and proper hospitality, can win even the fiercest battles. Never underestimate the power of a well-cooked meal and a clever tongue. Please react, comment and subscribe to get the next thrilling tale from African Super Tales.